In the past 1 week, out of every 5 persons tested for COVID-19, one turned out positive. And that is according to Boss Mustafa, chairman of the Presidential Task Force. Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, Algeria, and Kenya are now the epicenters of COVID-19 in the continent, accounting for 76% of all cases in Africa. What is the situation in Imo State? Welcome to the People's Voice. I am Paul the Magician.
And I am Zandas. Okeke, let's tell you, in the last 2 days, Imo State has witnessed infections. We saw 33 infected 2 days ago, and just yesterday it was announced that 16. So it's no longer a case of the disease being outside there, or that Imo State has is well protected and things are not happening here. So everybody needs to all hands needs to be on deck. That's what it is.
And that's why we have our guest, Maurice Iwu, a professor of pharmacology and a senior research associate at the Division of Experimental Therapeutics of Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, Washington, D.C. Professor Iwu is the chairman of Imo State Task Force on COVID-19 and a member of Anambra State Committee on COVID-19. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Paul.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in December 2020 officially declared the second wave of COVID-19 in Nigeria. So let's start with you telling us what the task force in Imo State has been up to since this declaration.
Before the declaration, you recall that, Paul, that sometime in September, October, before the yellow tide, that we came on air, and based on mathematical projections, based on the natural history of the virus, we predicted that there was going to be a second wave. We also predicted that it was not going to start from our soil. We also cautioned and advised that our people living overseas should not come home. We then said if they must come home, that we should distance ourselves from them. It was looked as if it was a joke. We also said that if they come to Nigeria, to Imo State, they should keep themselves in the urban areas, so that we don't start some avalanche of problems for ourselves. People didn't heed the advice. They thought it was a scam. They thought the virus was not real. And now we are paying the price. As I keep saying at the time, science does not lie. You may not understand why things happen, but when you have empirical evidence, empirical means that it is happening. You may not know the real reason, you may not know the facts, you may not have the logic, but this is what is happening. So you interpret the facts as you see it, and then for example, let me tell you something. If, for example, each time somebody comes home, something misses in the house. Each time he comes home, something missing in the house. You are justified to accuse the person that the person is the one stealing the what is missing. But it could be the dog that sees that each time the thing you come home, open the door, the dog comes in. But for your own sanity, you are correct to assume that it is that person who comes home that when things missing. So this is exactly the situation. So here in Imo State, we had defeated the virus before. We were applauded by the whole country and the whole world. People were asking us all the measures we took, and all we need to do is to do the same thing again. There's only a very small difference between this second wave and the first wave. The second wave is more contagious. The death rate is almost the same. Everything is the same, but just now it is more contagious. All those parties will say that anytime there was any big gathering, that people get infected. People are getting infected, and that is really the sad part of it. We also had cautioned people of a certain age to stay home, that they must stay home. We didn't say they should, we say must stay home. They should desist from social functions and so on. And you can see the death pattern, that most of the people who are dying are people who are above 60 years of age. It does not mean that the younger people are not dying, but I say most. It also does not mean that people are not sick, I say most. Then the one that is frightening is that we now have what we call healthy carriers. People who are not symptomatic, nothing wrong with them, but they are carrying the virus because they are fighting it effectively in their body, but does not stop them from transmitting it to others. So and that's why we think we should re-emphasize those 3 simple things. First and foremost, wear the face mask. it will give you some level of protection. If in fact if you don't think that you are being excessive, apart from the face mask, if you have a shield, this put it on on top of the face mask. You cannot be you are not overdoing it. If you must do things that are public, if you wear gloves, if you touch things so often, and if you take all those precautions and maintain social distancing between you and you can see here in your studio, we all kept our distances. It doesn't mean that I don't like you, Paul, but we know I'm trying to save your life, you're trying to save mine.
That's right.
And we stay healthy. Then the third component, which is the personal hygiene, washing your hands and often, it does not mean that there is a stain in your hands. No. What it means that you don't know things you have touched. It could be a phone. Somebody who is fully using a phone and then gives you the phone, and then you use the phone. You put it in your ear, so close to your mouth, and it enters into your body. I don't know what is in there. So we say you should wash your hand as often as possible. The best thing is soap and water. But when you cannot have access to soap and water, then the sanitizer. It is when you don't have quick access.
It's first soap and water.
First, which is cheap. Then the next, and we say it has to be about at least you put your hand in the running water for a while, so that you don't just do it like this, and then you wash it properly, so that whatever is in your hand will be able to go. So in Imo State, we are not spared from that 20% infection rate among those who are tested. But we also have logistic issues why the testing in the country is not as robust as it should be.
It's a good thing you mentioned testing, because I've noticed in Imo State, one day you have figures coming out from Imo State, the next day or 2 days after, there are no results coming out of Imo State, and I wonder why.
Those are logistics. It does not mean that those tests are not being consulted. Those are just sheer logistic issues. Either they have not uploaded them, or that the test results came out before or after they have been uploaded.
Published. Okay.
So but we have the data, and then we are not in any way encouraged by what we see. And we want to be able to bring those numbers down, and that's why we are here.
Professor, there seems to be a saturation of information for and against the virus, and Imo State is quite an enlightened society.
Yes.
And people have opinions, and people tend to want to lord their opinions over you. How can the layman on the street decipher which of this information is right? Because in some instance you hear the second variant is deadly, another person is telling you it's not going to last more than April, and that person is telling you don't take the vaccines. Some are saying there are too many informations out there. How do we deal with all of this?
The best thing to do is to close your ears and their eyes and everything about the information. The only people, even me, the people I listen to are the doctors. Okay. The physicians, it's only what the doctors tell us that is factual. Anything or any lay person tells you is just his own opinion. And as you rightly said, this is an enlightened society. A lot of people have their views. And one of the things that amazes me, if you see how people will brandish their ignorance, and they are saying it with all sorts of gusto, and you laugh, and they will tell you as if they were there. Somebody said, I spoke to Professor Wood the other day, he told me this. The person probably, if he sees me on the street, he will not even be able to know who I am. But that's the nature of the society. So having said that, that is also where I praise Darling FM and a few other media houses. You have really helped a lot. That's what I call social responsibility. You have really helped.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that we are partnering in this business, and that is really the way to go. The facts are very simple. The virus is real. And it's just we know it's called coronavirus. This is not the only coronavirus. It's been there all the time, and we know its natural history, and that is what is helping us that we can be able to curtail it. It's curtailable. It's not a magic. It's not a witchcraft. It's not in. If it's a witch, we have a witch medicine for it.
Schools are reopening across the country.
Yes.
And the Nigerian Medical Association is not comfortable with this. Matter of fact, they are saying that the government do not listen to experts' advice. Here in Imo State, we are looking forward to reopening schools next week, Monday. What advice has your task force given to the Imo State government to this effect?
We'll be monitoring the situation. The schools were to reopen yesterday. The Imo State government was very apprehensive. So they say, well, they call and say, Professor, we wait a minute. We know the federal government say 18, but we are not sure yet. And we love that. We love that conservatism. So, but the aspect of it, I understand where the NMA is coming from. Remember, they are our health people. Their main concern is for our safety. I also understand where the government is coming from. You cannot allow the economy to be paralyzed forever. You cannot allow the system. We have to defeat the virus both psychologically. If we see a situation of helplessness, we are totally doomed. We don't want to be walking corpses in this state. So what we have done is to interfere with the Ministry of Health, and then we came out with a 9-point measures that each of the schools can take, and they are very simple. If you allow me, I can
read them. Go ahead.
The first one, that pupils must always come to school every day with their face mask on. Parents who are bringing their students should also do the same. They should not be allowed to be moving around the premises from place to place. The second issue is again the hand washing. The hand washing point, what they call Veronica buckets, must be available for people with soap and running water, and also, where possible, alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Parents should encourage and buy those small things for their wards, so that as they go to school, it's a hand sanitizer. The third thing, the schools should please put the temperature checks. Temperature check is not a guarantee that person is having the virus, but at least the child is sick and can then be monitored. Then the normal thing in every school, you remember when you go to school, the first thing is morning assembly. They ring the bell, everybody gather. We are discouraging that, because that is a spreader point, so that people can then have the assemblies in classrooms and in small places. So courtyard assembly and group assembly, we are trying to discourage that. The fifth thing is the break time can be spaced. If the school normally have the break from 12 to 1, you can start one group earlier, 11 or 11:30, and spread the other, so that the lesser the gathering, the better. The sixth one is the classes can be broken into small pieces. Any number or any class that is large, they can have class A, class B, and class C. I know it's a lot of pressure on schools, space and all that, but they must think in terms of the life of their pupils. Then the issue again, the subjects taught in a day can really be squeezed. I was a teacher, and I know that whatever it is that you can teach, you can always squeeze it later, so that we can make the schools have less hours. If all schools can close by 2 p.m. Every day, that would be a very good idea. Then when the school students come home, that's the tricky part. The kids are not as much danger as they are exposing two categories of innocent people. The students can infect their parents at home and their teachers for what they brought from outside. So when they go home, we are saying that once they are back from school, the parents should insist on the children washing their hands again and using hand sanitizer. The one that is looks far-fetched is that as they come home and as soon as they remove their school uniform, the ideal thing would have been to sanitize it. No, but since we cannot, we are saying that they should iron it.
Okay, iron it
again, so that the children will look smarter and school. And I know kids, they will frown at such measures, but it is good for everybody. It will be a very sad thing if kids at the end of the day are the ones that kill their grandparents and so on. So we're also encouraging that they should be resisted from visiting their grandparents during the school period.
What agents of government saddled with the responsibility of making sure that schools comply with this directive? Because one thing to give out these directives, it's another thing to ensure that schools adhere to these guidelines.
No agency of government, it's you and I, everybody.
Isn't that what got us where we are today? Where
No, but is that we have to take responsibility. Every parent.
Yes, we need to take responsibility. But like in Lagos State, there was an agency set up, or a committee set up, to move from school to school to ensure that some of these protocols are adhered to.
Right.
Yeah, the Ministry of Education has their own task force. All the ministries of government, but as I said, critical thing. I want to reduce it to the individual. Yes.
Okay.
If we are not very good at committee things. Once a committee is set up, they leave it to them. If you have been a member of any association, once there is executive, people don't normally attend even the meetings where critical issues are being discussed. I want it to be every person's. We are always our brother's keeper. There is an African adage that it takes the whole village to raise a child. Every child now is ours, and we should make sure that these are our children. We should protect them. And so if you see a child coming back from school without a face mask, you rebuke the child.
Even adults are yet to actually carry out some of these.
Then I went to somewhere and I saw the child telling the father that prostitute is coming, in terms of putting on a face mask. I love that, because it is the child who was reminding the father that the problem we are firing at. So the children should also be our own monitor. They should guide us because they are the more educated ones. As I say, for the love of your father, for the love of your grandparents, the young people should please. I would be glad if the schools find out that just like their school prefects have a monitor for compliance. Each school should have in each class somebody who enforce compliance. I don't believe in the committee task force.
The public schools in especially the rural areas are bereft of some of these should I call them now equipment? Facilities. Let me use that word, that are meant to protect the children and the teachers. Given the time we have between now and Monday, I don't know if you have enough information as to how much the Imo State government has put in place to ensure that these schools, especially in the rural areas, have these facilities.
No, they do. Some of them. These are not sophisticated facilities. We're talking about a bucket of water. We're talking about it's a mindset. If you have the mindset of saving lives, we have done it before. Just like Igu saying, let us do it again. We've done it before. Okay. We've opened school before. So this is just a second coming, so to speak. All so right. We have no excuse to fail. None whatsoever.
All right, hold your thoughts. We still have Professor Maurice Iwu with us here in the studio, taking questions on COVID-19. Very shortly, we'll talk about the vaccines that Nigerians are expecting. And of course, we'll take questions from you. Questions have been pouring in from Facebook, Telegram, and everywhere about COVID-19. So stay tuned. At this moment, we have to take some commercials. We'll be right back.
107.3. Hello, babe. Are you still there? Can you hear me? Alright, yeah. So I see a VIP bar for choice beverages and drinks, a restaurant for African and continental dishes, a 300 to 500 seating capacity event center, exquisite rooms and suites at pocket-friendly prices. And guess what, babe? For you and I, there's a pool and a poolside bar and a gym.
Spend time with family and friends at Zaza Hotel. Zaza Hotel is located at number 28 Yaradua Drive before Lord Chosen Church, Owerri, Imo State. For more inquiries, call 0803-785-8386 or 0803-743-2115.
Nne, nke na-ebughari silinda iburu gbada.
Maazị Ibe, ike agwụla m o. Amaghị m ebe ọzọ ga-abụ nga agbata gaasị njesi ime. Ndị Shaw, maka
osugo nwaanyị orogwe ekpesazina maka na ndị na-eji mega gas plant anwụchaala ọzọ n'orogwe anyị a lee nnukwu oke n'ekwekwa bọgịrị savisi ha na-enye kara aka ha buru ụzọ ha anaghị gị silinda gị gbajuru gị ya o jupụ m n'ọnụ ha ewere aka ha dọnyere gị ya na moto ha na-erekwazi silinda na accessories ya ma na-edozikwazi silinda mebiri emebi mgbagaba ugbu a na uhu afọmakọ dị so n'ụlọ ụka ndị Salvation Army Orogwe Owerri West Local Government Area of Imo State ka ị bara okwu n'ụlọ kpọọ n'akara ekwentị a 09137720001 maọbụ ị gaa na webụsaịtị anyị www.regimgas.com.ng ma cheta na anyị nwere Regime Gas Plant n'Egbu Road n'iru Relief Market Owerri ya na Warrior North Pocket Layout Irete Egbada Junction Onitsha Road Owerri. Regime Mega Gas Plant esimesi ebirila ọkụ.
My tongue is craving something, I know just what it is. Sweet
Rental. Power your dream.
Rental Hotel and Suites. I'm on my way from home. Rental Hotel and Suites. For your luxury and comfort. Enjoy yourself with good hospitality.
Mr. Charles, how was your night?
I slept like a newborn baby. It's so awesome.
Your comfort is my priority.
Thanks, Mike.
Think of home. Think of Rental Hotel and Suites.
Rental Hotel and Suites is a world-class hotel aiming at redefining the hospitality perception. Crystal clean with exceptional services of international standard. You can get exclusive rooms of different types. World-class swimming pool, gym, ample parking slots, laundry services, internet services, conference hall, African and intercontinental dishes. And at Rental Hotel, you can get complimentary breakfast. We also have executive bar, cool bar, and we offer airport transfer. Visit Rental Hotel and Suites at Rental Roundabout, former 4040 Roundabout, New Owerri, or call 0704 984 5794. Rental Hotel and Suite, a place to be.
Welcome to Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited, a financial home that has impacted life and meaning to many lives, homes and companies with values using strictly the International Capital Trade Market business for the past years and still counting in Nigeria. Returns Market Investment Nigeria Limited has succeeded in delivering prompt and reliable 10% monthly returns on investments for investors with a minimum startup capital of 300,000 naira only and maximum capital of 100 million naira only. If you're looking for assured and reliable security for your funds and consistent delivery of returns on investment, think Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited. Contact our office today at Greenwich Mall, number 3 Umes Eronini Street, along Ikenemu, off Wedra Road, Owerri, Imo State, or call us on 0702 521 1290 or visit www.returnsinvestmentsnigeria.com. Choose financial freedom. Choose Returns Market Investments Nigeria Limited.
Healthy Kid is a baby and infant tasty liquid that contains 20 bionutrients including omega-3, choline and inositol for brain development, memory and learning ability. It also contains vitamin A, vitamin D3, vitamin E, calcium, iodine and amino acids. Healthy Kids improves immunity and strong bonds. It is also helpful for children with special needs like autism, speech and language delays. Healthy Kid is NAFDAC approved and marketed by United African Laboratory and is available at all pharmacies near you. For further inquiries, call 0806 465 4812.
Papa loves Healthy Kid.
Healthy Kid for your baby's general good health.
Darling FM 107.3.
You're stitching to 107.3 Darling FM. It's 26 past 9 and we're talking COVID-19 and everything in between. We have Professor Maurice Iwu, the chairman of Imo State Task Force on COVID-19, here with us in the studio, and a host of other doctors whom we're going to...
Dr. Prosper.
Yes, Dr. Prosper is here.
And Dr. Chimezie Iwala.
Yes, quietly listening and observing this session.
I'm ready to intervene if needed.
Okay. I think now that we want to talk about the vaccine, perhaps there might be some intervention. This morning I read that the Ministry of Finance released 10 billion naira to support domestic vaccines production in Nigeria for COVID-19, of course. And for someone like you who, as of last year, already started talking about producing solutions for this COVID-19, what does this information mean to you?
I'm not a vaccinologist, and then I'm also, my job in Imo State is quite simple, is to adduce methods of preventing the spread of the virus and stopping it if possible. When the vaccines come, then we'll deal with the issue when it comes. But that issue is beyond me in terms of medicine. And as you rightly said, I also have a conflict of interest here because I'm an advocate of using medication and using our own locally produced drugs. So there's a conflict of interest. So the honorable thing for me is not to wade into the vaccine issue.
Conversation.
Yes.
But one question I want to ask before we engage Imolites listening to us is that, and let me bring these statistics so that we have a perspective
Yes.
to compare. As of now, NCDC says we've registered 112,004 confirmed cases since the outbreak of COVID-19, and out of that number, 1,449 deaths have been recorded. That is less than 10%, obviously. Now, if you compare that with the report from FRSC of last year, where they said between January and March, in 3 months, they registered 3,947 road accidents, and out of that number, 1,758 deaths were recorded in 3 months. You realize that COVID-19 is obviously not the highest killer of Nigerians, yet it is getting so much attention, so much budget going into it. Over 400 billion naira is being earmarked for the possible purchase of vaccines, 10 billion naira for local production and all of that. Why are we giving so much attention to COVID-19 when we have other things killing Nigerians as well?
Oh yeah, we have so many things killing Nigerians. We have poverty, we have poor hygiene, we have poor infrastructure, we have even people dying in their sleep. So many things killing Nigeria. But what makes this particular one scary is the fact that you have a situation where you have a disease you have not been able to explore, or you don't even understand its full implication. And we're also dealing with history. The first time we had this kind of pandemic in the 1918-ish, you find that it killed very many people over a very short time. There are places in this country. There's a place, one particular village in my place. During that particular pandemic, the entire village was wiped out, and they had the issues with it. When I was a kid, I remember when we were withdrawn from school because that they were distributing milk. Because people were scared of the white man's milk and all that. So, but now we know better. So what is happening here is that we are trying to stop a possible catastrophe from happening. The road accidents we can prevent. If I know people who in the village who are malicious, when they want to swear, they said if they did this, let the plane kill him. He knows he can never fly, and so he is swearing by something he knows that will not happen. So if you stay home, perhaps, and the road accident you are talking about will not happen. And that. So we are also very poor in statistics. The number of tested positive cases are more than the
reported cases.
Yes, because the NCDC can only report those that have been logged into the system. Those that have not been tested and not logged into. And as I said, what makes this particular one more frightening, that there are a lot of healthy carriers who will transmit others to others. They themselves didn't fall sick, but they transmit to somebody who is more vulnerable and who can be sick and then die. So that's why the emphasis is not because of what is happening, it's what could happen. Remember the projections by some naysayers, people who thought by now that corpses will be floating in Africa, and so on. And nobody gives us credit for it. And we thank our God, the God of Africa, that has saved us. We also thank our scientists and our physicians who have fought a good battle.
Right.
All right, let's look at the issue before we go straight to phone lines. 100,000 doses of vaccines will be coming in soon. Is that enough to cater for what is happening in Nigeria now? Because at the beginning of the show, Nigeria was named as one of the 3 countries, the epicenters of the virus in Africa. 100,000 doses. Is it enough? Is Nigerian government doing enough, or should we order for more?
First of all, this epicenter, or Nigeria being epicenter, is based on our population. we are a large country, so even if it's 1 in 100, 1%, it will still be larger than what happens in Cameroon or in Senegal. And so percentage-wise, so this is where it is more dominant. That is one. The second issue in terms of the vaccine, as I mentioned earlier, the 100,000. Some people will argue that we don't even need it. Some people will argue the fact that the people in Europe have always had the flu vaccines. And these flu vaccines, we have flu vaccines against coronaviruses. That they argue, some people argue that what is different in this case, that they are having a new flu vaccine for a new variant of flu, which happened to be coronavirus. That we have never had those flu vaccines in the first place. But why are we now being forced to? Some people argue that point. But as I said, I'm not a vaccinologist, and I have a more interest in us doing the needful, washing our hands, wearing the face mask, and maintain social distancing. And there's also some of the habits our people are, which I don't want to get into, seem to be working so far, and that is using some home remedies and so on. So I don't discourage anybody from taking care of himself. Take care of yourself with what you can afford to do. The vaccine comes, okay. If it doesn't come, okay. But the important thing is for let us take personal responsibility and not tomorrow say, because I didn't get my own shot of the vaccine, that's why I'm sick. No, you are sick because you didn't obey the laid down protocols that we are supposed to obey.
Okay,
I think we can go straight to the phone lines now.
Yes, since we're on the subject of vaccines, I will just take some comments here so we can wrap up on vaccines. And this one is from Dr. Umar Olebara, who says, if the Madagascar COVID cure, which we paid for, has been found not efficacious, as earlier claimed, how can Nigeria battle with new vaccines that are preserved under a temperature of minus 70 degrees in an environment of non-storage facilities? Another huge sum going down the drain, she says. Why can't we encourage our own who can produce far better vaccines against COVID-19? That's one. Let's see if there's another comment on vaccine. Yes. Unjoku Kenneth says, my own take this morning on COVID-19 vaccines is that is it that federal government, I think, is that federal government should bring that money, okay, they want to use in purchasing the vaccine. Let us share it per head and we will take care of ourselves. And that message is coming from Brother Ken.
That's not possible.
Onelga in Rivers State. Okay, I think those are the two questions on vaccines
all right
received so far.
Yeah, the first thing from the Dr. Olebra, I think the doctor has a very valid point he's making. She's making. And then the issue there, that the logistics of even deploying the vaccine for now, ultra low temperature cold chain is difficult to maintain. So she has a point in that. Then I want to also say something of caution in the Madagascan brew. The Madagascan therapy is actually our not able to apply proper science. We have been in touch with the Madagascans. We are revisiting their product, and in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to give hope and shed light on the fact that they were right in the first place. It's just that there's a situation where we call ethnobotany. In the process of sophistication, modifying the product, they lost the active constituent, and then we have a plan to restore what they are. Well, that's the work is actually by next week, as I said, we are reviewing the data.
Oh, okay, that's good news.
Yes.
Okay, this question from Kenneth Igbokwe says, where is local government testing taking place with our markets open and all other offices? Why so much concern on schools?
So much concern on schools right now because schools are an aggregate point. We also know that the markets are taking places in the local governments and areas. So we are going back to that. Simple things, for example, you remember there's this national ID number thing. Yes. It's giving us concern. That's a major spreader. Major spreader. So we have tackling the government. I will know why government is doing that. It's important for security, national security, to track those who have their phones and all that, to make sure that there is identification of. But we are dealing with a life and death issue here, and so what the caller said is in order. We have to tackle the local governments. We have to tackle the markets. But for our own statistics in Imo State, 3 local governments are our concern.
Just 3 out of the 27?
Yes, a major concern because they constitute the bulk of the cases. Out of 27, Owerri Municipal, Owerri North, and Owerri west. Those three. That's our own epicenter. So if you live in a Owerri area, you should please be extra careful.
Where are the testing centers, especially in these areas you just mentioned?
No, luckily for all, the testing centers are usually centrifugal. That's just two simple places where the tests are conducted, as you said, three. We have the FMC testing. We try not to announce them so that people don't
don't flood the places.
The samples are collected regardless of where the samples are collected. They are brought. That's why it's a centrifugal. They are brought to a particular place for testing, so that the scientists doing it are not unnecessarily distracted and so on. We had issues, for example, for a while when there was what they call Falcon tubes there, and then the zip because each sample had to be isolated and labeled and all that. So when we ran out of, we didn't wait for the normal supply. The state government provided the funds, so we bought extra system that is outside the normal system, and then be able to give them. So they are now batching up what they have collected and doing the more tests. So
there was this mobile testing.
We take some calls.
Yeah, just quickly, since we're still talking about testing, there were mobile vehicles that were supposed to go to the hinterland to test people. I don't know if those are still in place.
They are in place, but they are doing a totally different thing. There are many doing antibody tests. They are trying to get. There's also a work going on. There is also a group from Futo, scientists from Futo. What they are doing is that they are collecting samples from various markets and trying to look at the variants as they are emerging. And so there are a lot of serious work going on. And as I said, if only the lay people do their own work, and on the science part, we're on top of their Alpha Act. We have no illusions as to what. And so what is happening that we are trying to translate. Remember the famous philosopher's argument about some clown going to a stage and telling people he was trying to entertain people, and then there was fire, and he keep telling people that there's fire on the stage. People thought it was part of the act, and they started laughing. I said, "This fire will consume you." Then he removed his clown. So that's what is happening. People think that this is government's baby, and that the government cannot be right. But in this particular case, the government is right. We have a virus on our backyard, and we can stop it by wearing face masks, washing our hands, and then trying to maintain social distance. Those are three simple things.
All right, we have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn down the volume on your radio, please.
This is Edwin calling from Umbise Road.
Okay, Diko, go ahead.
So just go straight to your question or comment.
Edwin from Umbise Road.
Sorry.
Yeah, my professor, please, I want to find out, why do we allow Eurocentric belief to dominate our thinking and our cultural heritage, what we believe in? Because this virus of a thing is killing the Europeans. Based on their nature, they cannot survive it, and they want to lord it over us and make us believe that it will kill us like them. They made us to believe that everything that is happening to them will also happen to us. Based on their temperature and this vaccine of a thing, the vaccine can survive in the environment, and our environment it cannot survive. Why don't they produce the one that can survive in African environment than giving us the one they produce that will survive in the environment and asking us to accept it?
Okay, the prof is going to take your question. We want to take 3 questions, then so you can just take a note of the questions asked.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, good morning. Who's from Amaluberi? Okay, welcome. Good to have you. All right, so straight to your question.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, I want to also maintain my advocacy in having a multi-sectorial approach to this fight against COVID-19 in the state. I think the work is just left for the committee. There are critical sectors that need to be tuned in into whatever template your committee has developed as effective enforcement. Like the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Commerce, and Ministry of Transport. I was not happy yesterday I saw the Commissioner for Education of Lagos State, Commissioner for Education of Ogun State, and some state government officials monitoring the COVID-19 compliance, prevention compliance in the schools that just resumed yesterday in their own state. So we never have it here in the state. Why are these officials of government not interested in joining the committee to fight against this COVID-19 here? They have had enough enlightenment. But enforcement is where we are not getting it right. And I am suggesting that this your committee should be decentralized to the local government level. Just local IMC chairman are virtually not doing anything there. Why don't they constitute themselves as committee to help enforcement in their own government?
All right, Austin. Okay. So the prof is going to respond to the concerns raised so far. I know you still have many more issues you want to take on, but we have to manage our time. Just one more call, and then we'll get a response. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Morning. Turn down the volume on the radio.
Yeah, my name is Eugene. I'm calling from Ogun.
All right, straight to your question.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I want to find out what is going to change between the 18th and the 25th as school reopening is concerned. What the government going to put in place on the before 25th that they couldn't put in place on the 18th?
That's a great question, really. Why not resume on 18th? Why move to 25th? And what's the difference?
Yeah.
All right, so let's have the response.
Yeah, let me start with this last one. The 18th to 25th is very crucial. And as I said, it's a conservative approach. Let me admit, what I suspect from government point of view is that they want to do a wait and see. And to see whether those who are in the front, whether something happens to them, so that they will not learn from what happens
from their mistake.
from other people's mistake. That's clever, that's smart. The other issue that it now allows us time to also put a lot of things in place. I'm here and I give details of what the school should do and what they shouldn't do. Because remember, the federal government confirmed that date just only on Thursday following the 18th. So it was a smart move by the state. So nothing more than other than being more prepared and more focused, and it also allows them more time to do that. Okay. Then the question that you raised, I agree with the caller that says it's a multi-sectoral. We have not lost that. We have also gotten a lot of the various ministries in focus to be part of what we are doing. We will now, part of this new reactivation is that we will also call them back again to start the enforcement aspect of it. We as a committee took a position from ab initio, and we are not deviating from that. We are not directly involved in the enforcement, so that let people see us as from a friendly, persuasive point of view. We are there to give information. We are there to give guidance. We are there to draw up the roadmap and so on. There are areas we need to do enforcement on our own, and these are institutional basis, like the hotels, the supermarkets, the schools, and so on. Those areas would, but overall, the police will do their work. If you listen to the governor when he went to meet the president, those who have sense should listen, because he went more or less to tell president, this is what I'm going to do, and he said that the mobile calls will be up and running, that people will now be forced to do what they have been asked to do, and they have been heady about it. So he more or less has given he has given out the red card and said, look, everything must stop. So the caller is right, it's a multi-sectoral thing, but the biggest player in this multi-sectoral approach is not doing anything, and that is the individual. That's the biggest player. The government can do all that they like to do, the ministry can do all that, the commission can do, but if you don't take personal responsibility to save your own life, whatever happens now becomes our own fault.
And then the first person
talk about Eurocentricity.
Yes.
This is a psychological mindset that our people tend to feel this victim thing and also have a situation where anything foreign is better. He has a point there. But it's wrong in saying that this virus doesn't kill our people. It does. We have had deaths. What we are trying to do is to do a situation analysis and domesticate a global problem, how it concerns us. We are not interested in what we are sympathetic, but we are not overly concerned about what happened. Even the vaccine is talking about. We must also confess that we are studying all the variants. There are 4 major ones now, including the ones that are being developed here in Nigeria. That people are developing their own here. We have institutes. We are not dunces. There are Nigerian scientists also doing their own. But we also know the Russian one, which which doesn't need to be refrigerated. We're taking note of that. We also noted the AstraZeneca Oxford University one, which doesn't need to be refrigerated. But the Americans and the 2 American companies are arguing that this other one is a full virus vaccine. That a virus is attenuated to be able to now not kill anybody, but give you the information that the body needs to build the immune system. We also know about the Chinese model. So in Nigeria is not taking it, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So we are studying what they are doing, and we're also watching what is happening to them as they take the vaccine. So we are both the one they say publicly and the one they don't say publicly. I want the public to be reassured that we know what we are doing. Okay. They should do their own part, and their own part we are asking is to take those precautions while we buy time and see how to wipe out this virus. That's all we're asking. Nothing much. 3 things. Wear the face mask, wash your hands, and use hand sanitizer where possible, and maintain social distance. No gathering of any kind for people above 60 years. Don't go at all. Not even church. Not even church if you are 60 and above.
Okay. Prof, you've been mentioning the fact that we've been monitoring, we've been looking, and I want to know, is there a national body of probably a task force, national body that is taking a national approach to all of this, or is it what you're doing as the chairman of the Imo State Task Force that you are using to probably cover what's happening for Nigeria?
No, for Nigeria, there is the PTF.
Yeah. Okay.
But beyond the PTF, there's also scientific approach to this. There are scientists talking. Even as we speak, this evening I have a Zoom meeting with some scientists on the Madagascar thing you talked about. We're also meeting on Monday, again on Zoom meeting on a wider scale. I also have a private sector company. So we have developed some products, and then we're also interested in looking at what is happening and seeing whether we have to deploy additional measures in terms of pharmaceutical care. But the essential thing is that the non-pharmaceutical component, what we are just discussing, is we have been found to be as effective as the medicines.
Sorry. Okay. It's another good place to take a breather. We accommodate some commercials. When we return, we'll see how many more calls we can take. Stay tuned.
Darling FM 107.3.
It's easy to spot a Twisco kid because they seem to be so active. Introducing new Twisco chocolate drink powder, a unique blend of cocoa, milk, and malt, fortified with Enafort, a special blend of vitamins and minerals that helps give kids the vitality they need for an action-packed day. Twisco. Power your dream.
OneXBet's huge wins from high odds all the way with the fastest payout. Take more of our winning advantages from your deserving bets on all sports. Because with OneXBet, everyone can win. What about you? Visit our website on onexbet.ng. Use promo code BETNG and get up to 200% bonus on your first deposit. Yes, 200% bonus on your first deposit. OneXBet. Bet for every taste. Have a biggie Christmas and a fearless New Year. Christmas and a fearless New Christmas and a fearless
It's a season to be merry, and most importantly, it's a season to stay fantastically refreshed. From every one of us at Right Foods, we're wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a big Christmas and a fearless New Year.
Success everybody they see. Nobody was there when the journey started. When you had to kill your sleep and sometimes break down with pains, aches and fever. But success lies at the other end of pain. And as in Naija born and bred, we know they carry last. Push through pain with Emzo paracetamol. Then stare pain in the face and say, not today.
For aches, pains and fever, trust Emzo paracetamol. If symptoms persist after 2 days, please see your doctor.
Fearless energy drink comes in 2 exciting flavors, classic and red berry. So when you need that refreshing energy boosting beverage, drink Fearless. Fearless, energy of Naija.
Darling FM 107.3.
Hello, good morning. Okay, so want to see if we can accommodate 2 more calls before we wrap it up here in the studio. This perhaps is the...
Hello, good morning, Zandas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name, where you coming from?
I want to ask, this is Friday from University.
Okay, straight to the question.
Yes, our name.
Thank you.
Okeke State and Cross River. I don't know Nigeria.
Yeah, what is your question?
My question is this. There's no any record of community for us, those 2 states. Are you aware?
Says who? You?
Okeke State and Cross River.
Yes.
There's no COVID-19
That's what I'm asking. I said says who? Is it you saying it or is it NCDC? Who said
I want
that?
to ask these 2 states I mentioned now.
Yes.
The governor said that they don't have any task force committee for that state. They don't need it.
That's what I wanted to know. The governor said it. All right, go on. What's your question?
So I want to ask, why those states is secure about this COVID-19? People are for over there. This one aspect, people can go and come back.
Okay.
And happen at Okeke State. Something again.
Okay. One question per time. All right. Let me squeeze in the last one, perhaps, and then you react. Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my good boss. Good morning, my good guest in the studio.
Good morning.
My good morning, Paul and Zandas. My name of course is Jude Umar, and I usually come from Duties on the Protect.
Your question?
My brother, I want to observe that, in accordance with the popular saying that united we stand and divided we fall. I want to call on all state governments, through their various task forces, to be very proactive this time around. Honestly speaking, the way our mother second wave of COVID-19 pandemic is spreading and really killing people, this not to be deserved. And so the suggestion of the fact that everything humanly possible should be done in order to protect the lives of our people.
Thank you. All right, so everything humanly possible should be done. However, the caller before last is wondering why in Cross River and Kogi State, where the governors have refused to set up task force, people are going about their businesses. Yes, but in other parts of the country.
No, first of all, the caller was wrong in saying that there are no cases in Kogi and the Cross River. Exactly. That's one. Let's you look at the NCDC. There was a time in this state we also said there was no death, because the cases we had went to Abuja and died there. And we are right technically that there was no cases here. There was also a time here in Imo State where anybody that died, it's either the neighbor killed him or the ancestors killed the person. So if you don't apply scientific logic, you can say there's no coronavirus. If you blame the deaths to your ancestors and to your witches next door. So it depends on but whether there's coronavirus in Kogi and Cross River, there is coronavirus, positively so, effectively so, and dying as the other parts of Nigeria. But if the people want to believe that it's witchcraft that kill their people, it's their choice. We are living in the 21st century, so it's a free country. People can believe. After all, in America, President Trump didn't believe that there was coronavirus, yet their people are dying more
until he got infected.
Until he got infected himself. So the second caller was talking about the putting everything. I don't want to sound cocky and say we told you so. We are doing everything humanly possible, and we told the Imolites at the beginning, before the Christmas celebration, that if you do XYZ will happen. 4 plus 4 will always give you 8. So we added the 4, and then people added their 4, and then we are getting 8. We are saying let us start subtracting. All right. And the only way we can subtract is for you to keep the.
Let's have your concluding remark as we conclude on today's edition of the People's Voice.
Thank you, Paul. My concluding remarks is this: that we should please obey those simple protocols. I'm asking Imolites that we should be able to enforce the wearing of face masks, that we should be able to maintain social distance, and we should wash our hands and then use hand sanitizers. That by this week, if we do not see any noticeable change in the compliance to this directive, we will be left with no other option than to forcefully make people to do that, or they go to jail. Because there is a law in the land that makes wearing of face masks compulsory. And we're also telling shops, supermarkets, public places that if we find that your premises is not complying with those, we will force those places to be closed. We don't want a lockdown in our state, and we want people to take responsibility for their actions. Let us personally save ourselves. If you don't want to save yourself, don't endanger the lives of other people. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Professor Maurice Iwu is the chairman, Imo State COVID-19 Task Force. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I am Paul the Magician.
And I am Zandas. Okeke, maintain your safety protocol.
The news headlines are